You don't have a CNC router, you don't have a laser cutter, and you don't want to spend over $5,000 on tools you may not ever use after one time. In this video, I'm going to take you through my process of creating layered wood with my hands. I've been working with wood for a while, but recently I've been adventuring into new types of art that's going to be more three-dimensional and more layered, which is creating a lot more sculptural-like pieces using wood. If you're new to my channel, welcome. And if you've been here before, you now get to see a new phase of art. And you may wonder, why? Why the change in direction? What's up with this new form of art that you're doing? Ever since I became a full-time artist, I always made a promise to myself to never stay stuck, never stay limited to what you want to do. As I evolve as an artist, I'm starting to think in the three-dimensional world. I'm starting to think in ways that will allow my viewer to see my work differently, not just from a two-dimensional space. This is not my first rodeo working with wood. I've worked with wood before. I've actually worked with wood in the beginning of my art career. I used to use wood panels as my canvases, but I used to just paint on them as you would paint on any other canvas. Now, I'm starting to create more three-dimensional pieces that will engage the viewer in a different way. And so far, it's been extremely exciting. I've been creating ideas and developing these pieces of art just by my imagination, and they're coming out so fluidly without me even having to think. The reason why I'm using wood is because wood is such a natural element and a natural resource that even if you're using the same type of wood, every single piece is going to be different by their wood grains, by their look, by their color, and their complexities. And that to me is extremely exciting to show that in my work of art, because none of us as humans are the same. And it's kind of cool to show two of the same pieces of wood that look very different. This piece that I'm creating was inspired by self-reflection, and a lot of my future pieces that I will show later on in my journey will show a lot of self-reflection as well. Using these type of techniques where I'm creating layers upon layers with wood was very intimidating to me. I only thought that you can accomplish something like this by using CNC routers or laser cutters, which is something I didn't have access to at the time of me creating this work of art. So I decided to do it by hand. My style of art is very fluid. It's very organic, and that is something that I wanted to show in this work of art. I wanted to show something that was organic, something that was fluid, and something that kind of flowed together with a sense of rigidness as well, if that makes any sense. But more on that when I get to that part of the design. As you can see, the main tool that I used was a router. This was the only way that I could imagine me getting the curves in the wood that I wanted to get to that a CNC router can do. And there was no other way for me to do that without this router that I have. Because I didn't want to lose the wood's grain, I wanted to use a lighter stain to make sure to keep that natural look as much as possible. So I used the Miniwax golden stain to give it that natural color that I wanted to give. When it came to painting the layered pieces and creating a design for these layered pieces, I had a little bit of trouble. There were parts of me that didn't want to put in my graffiti embellishments. There were part of me that wanted to paint them all the same color or different colors. I kept going back and forth, and I have a lot of trouble sometimes when it comes to these decisions because my mind just tries to go in all these directions to see what looks best. But what I figured out is the only way to know is by doing it. So I actually freehanded a design because I wanted to see how it was gonna look and to see if my graffiti embellishments were gonna come out to be the way they wanted to come out. One thing that I did struggle with after creating the graffiti embellishments was the color. I spent a lot of time with graphics trying to figure out the right color for this right wood grain, And I came up with coral colors because coral colors to me signify love, peace, and happiness, which is the layers upon myself that I have found later in my life. So I wanted to reflect that as much as possible. Most of my work, you'll see 3 dots, which represents awareness, perspective, and gratitude. And in most of my recent works, you see 3 lines, which represents rigidness, discipline, and structure. As I said before, these values is a part of who I am, and I'm no longer afraid to show that part of myself. I used to be afraid to show that part of myself because I didn't want to make anyone feel bad, or I didn't want anyone to judge me. There's a lot of times when I felt that I would talk about my goals or the ladders that I wanted to climb and the success that I wanted to obtain, and some people will look at me with a side eye or look at me with an eye that almost didn't make them feel good. Maybe because I was kind of, bringing something out of them that they probably didn't enjoy. So nowadays, I really don't care who agrees with me or doesn't agree with me. I can't be afraid to show who I am and the values that really stand out to me. And these are one of the pieces that I'm really showing and stepping into who I am. And here she is. I thought it was only right to name her It's Who You Are. It's a self-reflection of who I am and the person that I have become over the years. Making layered art without the need of having to have expensive tools like CNC routers or laser cutters, it is very possible and very doable. You just have to be a little more patient and become a little more creative in your ways of doing things. And like I did, I used the router and it worked just as fine. This piece is for sale on my website, and if you're interested in purchasing it, make sure to go check it out to get more information and to see if you want to purchase it. You can go check it out at geniedesignsart.com, and if you like this video and want to see more like it, if you want to support my channel, please make sure you subscribe. We love your support, and stay tuned for the next one. Peace.